So today for the Lunch and Learn, I'm going to be going over the new Explorers in Kinetic. We're all familiar with the trackers and how the trackers work through the system, but there's a new feature that's been added to the trackers here lately, and it's called the Explorer. And the Explorers are kind of cool. They give us a little kind of roadmap flowchart of how the transaction is proceeded through the system. Now, the Explorers, not all of them got updated, but in the current version, we do have a handful of them out there, and Epicore's continually adding more and more to it. In the accounts payable, we have the AP invoice tracker, which will show us the PO, the receiver, the AP invoice payment, that kind of information behind that AP invoice. The payment tracker is going to show us very similar info to what we're going to find behind that invoice tracker. Then in accounts receivable, we'll see the invoice, the customer shipment, the sales order, or multiple shipments. And then cash receipts would show us, hey, we sent this invoice to the customer. I got these payments in receipt paying off that invoice. There's also a purchase order tracker, which is going to show me, hey, this is what we requested. What was the life? Did the parts come in? What happened through the life of that purchase order? There's a customer shipment tracker that's going to go all the way from shipping back through the order. Take a look at, okay, this order, we shipped it 5 times. Here are the different ones. We've got a receipt tracker, which is receipts for the purchase orders. The sales order tracker. Did this come from a quote? How many orders did I make from that quote? And then a quote tracker, which is kind of the start of where everything originated, and then how did this document proceed through the system. So I'm going to take a look at some of these real quick for us, and then we're going to talk about some of the other areas where we have trackers in the system, but we don't have Explorer views yet. So here in my AP invoice tracker, I can see the AP invoice. I also see the payment that we sent out and check number. Now I can also click on these icons or these panels and go into the detail. Take a look at that payment itself. What was the distributions on the GL? When was this sent? Was it ACH or a physical check? So on my AP invoice tracker, it gives me this little flow panel of these cards telling us, hey, how did this thing progress through our system? The activity and the details on the tracker are still the same that we've seen for years. It's this new Explorer view in the middle that allows us to drill in and see more information. On the AR invoice, or on the AP payment, I can see we got these 3 invoices and they were all paid on this payment. So I sent out one payment to the vendor, but it was actually for 3 different invoices. So I want to see everything that went on to this check that we distributed out. For our AR invoice tracker, show me the order, when did we ship it, and then the AR invoice. As we're going to see, some of these are only a few cards. The cash receipt shows us the invoice we sent to the client, and then the payment we received, or multiple invoices that they're paying with that cash receipt. My PO tracker shows me the PO, and then when did the product come in. If it came in on multiple receivers, I would see multiple receipts here. For our customer shipment tracker, it shows us the order, when we shipped it to the customer, and then if we invoiced it. If we haven't invoiced it, this card isn't going to exist on the Explorer view. So being able to quickly know visually what it is and be able to click and go to it, I think it's a little easier with the Explorer view than back in when we had the activity tab and you had to right click and show these, go pull them back and then right click on them to open with like AR invoice tracker so that I could see it. I have a few other controls here on the bottom of these cards. I have more than just click and go looking. Now, if your user doesn't have security to go into something, it's not going to let them go into an area they don't have access to. Packing slip shows me, hey, this was the receiver that came in on this packing slip. This is what came in. Did I receive it multiple times? On my sales order tracker, I get very similar to the customer shipment. I want to see every shipment that went out for the order. It may not just be this one shipment linked to the order, but this order could be linked to multiple shipments where we sent product to the client and then multiple invoices to those. The quote tracker shows I created this quote, and these are the orders that we won from that quote. Even though we quoted it once, we can still get multiple orders from it. And as we see, there's only 3 tabs here. These Explorer views are part of the new Application Studio in Kinetic. We can go into the Application Studio. While the customization of the Explorer views is very limited right now, it does let us set the number of cards that are in the view. So if I go into the Designer of Application Studio, go to the Properties of my Explorer tab, here I do have the ability to say how many cards get displayed on the screen. If you're a person that ships an order, takes a 100-line order and then ships it over 50 shipments, we may want to see that a lot more than just look at, hey, here are the first 3 that went out. The other thing on this Explorer view is you'll notice when I'm looking at it, on all of these I have a plus and minus. This is for zooming in. So if I do have 50 cards for my limit because we're high volume against shipments against orders, I can turn around and zoom in or stay zoomed out. So I may want to be able to see the full visible what happened on it. I can always click on the cards and go to the detail, but I can turn around and set how many cards. This is all we have right now in the Application Studio. As far as adding your own cards, adding your own changes, this is a little more difficult in the new Explorer. Moreover, to these Explorers, these are the areas that I've personally marked. These are, hey, we want trackers for an RMA. I want to know, when did I do the RMA? What receipts came in? What quality dispositions occurred? What debit or credit memos got sent out? So having an RMA tracker or a DMR tracker in quality to know the pipeline of what happened to that DMR or that quality item, these I would say should be Explorers that Epicor should be looking at. But again, these are the ones that I've seen out on Epicor Ideas as a want. Serial number tracker. I generated the serial number, but what job made it? What jobs did this serial number get transferred into? What did we make with it? And then when did we ship it out? Right now, those views exist in the serial number tracker, but there's no Explorer view for those types of things. Each one of these, I can see customers wanting to have an Explorer, but when you look at like the project tracker can have an unlimited amount of quotes, orders, jobs, purchase orders. That may be a little hard to make an Explorer view because there's so much activity going on behind. Planning contracts. A job tracker. For the Explorer view on a job tracker, would we show all of the assemblies? Would you show all of the labor records or just the operations that it's routing through? Do you show just the materials or material status against it? It's hard to determine what people are going to want in these, but you do have the ability to request this. Inside the Epicor software, next to that help button, you can get to the Epicor Ideas portal. The Ideas portal allows you to log in with your Epicor ID and put in a request for a tracker enhancement. So you can say, I want to see an Explorer view on the job tracker. When you post this to Epicor Ideas, I'm going to say before you create it, search through the ideas, make sure somebody else hasn't already requested. If they have, join your company onto that request. If you can't find the request in the system, go ahead and fill out a new one. If people are members already on the epiusers.help group, go ahead and post your ideas out to the group, letting everybody know what you have made. The more companies that join that Epicor Ideas link, the quicker it moves up the list and into development at Epicor. If you submitted an ideas request and nobody joins into it, it's just one voice requesting it. That may not get moved up to develop. But if you can rally the troops and have 50 people join onto it, that'll move this idea up the priority list inside Epicor. Definitely look for the ideas item if it's already out there so that you can add yourself to it. If it's not, make sure that you create a new one, but share that knowledge with the community so you're not the only one. Any questions regarding our Explorer views, where they exist, how to request them, how to add additions to it?
We got a question from Rick. Has there been any talk about an Explorer building tool similar to making a dashboard?
Inside Application Studio, it's very, very limited. Like I mentioned, you can only change the number of cards displayed in your Explorer view. You cannot add your own tools to it. You can't expand it. You can't add additional cards. What I gleaned from the Explorer view, Rick, is when this runs, it's actually going out and calling the business object, pulling the get map function from the business object to build the cards that go into the Explorer view. So I haven't been able to rip it much further apart than that, other than I'm finding it's going out, getting the relationship map from the business object, which will still always be there moving forward into the future, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's easy to customize or modify. I can't tell it to add another Explorer view. So I can't say, hey, on customer shipment, show me an Explorer view also for the sales order.
Want more Codabears Lunch and Learn? Check out our channel for more videos or contact us on our website for registration information.